I always so enjoy connecting with you, Meenakshi, because we just are able to flow back and forth with our words and our mutual support and our information exchange. So it always feels as if we're dancing a cosmic dance together, which incidentally, if you stop it, is the Christian symbol for prayer and the Buddhist symbol for namaste.
Beautiful.
It's power
I
with.
love.
It's power with, not power over, power under, or power against, power with. Okay.
And
So
I think it would be great if everyone can introduce themselves, and then we will go into the presentation with Janet. So can we start with you, Kisitua?
Hi, it's nice to be back. My name's Kasitawa. That's my Cree name. It means in normal English, warm fire. In ceremonial situations, it means soul fire. And it's nice to be back. I'm glad for the invitation. Thanks, Meenakshi.
Mm-hmm. Who's next? Sarai?
Okay. Hi, my name is Sarai. I am from Caracas, Venezuela, and I help Meenakshi and others with their editing and creating content for social media and other stuff. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to see the illusions.
I actually, this needs to be interactive. So I need you. Thank you for introducing yourself. Saradi? I probably still didn't get that right.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this has to be interactive. So everybody needs to get in here and play and let us know a little bit about who you are.
White Feather.
Hi, my name is White Feather. When I was given the name, they said it's woman who walks with white eagle feather. And I've had a really rich life in my walk, my native walk, and the things that I've learned. And I'm just waiting and excited for this next phase of what's happening on the earth. It's just so exciting. And a lot of people think, oh, it's awful and all these things are happening. But with the people that I associate with you people, and with Adi and different people who really are connected with the fact that we are shifting into a beautiful new world. And I'm excited. Sometimes I get a little despondent with just normal everyday things, but I always have a group of like you people here who have like minds and that we can gather with and to share what's happening in our lives, which is very helpful for me. So I'm very appreciative that Meenakshi has these events that we can come to.
Well,
Thank
you, White Feather. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? Did you have
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for all that information. Very, very interesting. Do you want to start the slideshow, Meenakshi, or do you have something else you want to say here?
No, please do begin. Although we have just had David joining us, and if he's feeling ready, David, would you like to be on video? Would you like to introduce yourself? We're just sharing a little bit about ourselves.
Oh, hi, I'm David Dunworth. I'm, among many other things, am the chairman of the board of Center Vision Leadership Foundation, but I'm also the founder and managing trustee of the Trinity International Ministries, FBO.
And he's much more than that, I can tell you. How come I can hear you? It shows me on the screen that you're muted. these systems, they lie.
Well, I
Okay.
just did. I just muted.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
So it's over to you now.
So, do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, sure.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
let's see if this works. Let's hope it works. It worked a little while ago. Okay, there we go. So, this is our foundation, Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity. It is possible. And it's all about the power of your mind and the power of your words used consciously and intentionally to co-create the kind of world in which you want to live. And it's also, I know what I have hold of, which is a semantic solution to all the human created suffering on our planet. And there's a distinction between the words semantic and linguistics. Semantic has to do with the meaning of our words. What is the underlying experience from which the words emerge? We created words. Okay, so let me move on to the next one. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this kind of presentation at the beginning because I would prefer to give you all the experience of piercing the veil of illusion. So, why is this not changing? There it goes. The system's just a little slow. All right, the words are not the experience. The menu is not the food you eat. These are my elaborations on a statement originally for which Alfred Korzybski, who was a semanticist, he's deceased now, but he's well known for the statement, the map is not the territory. So yes, the map is not the territory. The words are not the experience. The menu is not the food you eat and savor and enjoy. And looking at a map of the west coast of Florida is not the same. The map is not the same as actually physically driving north on I-75 and experiencing the beautiful bougainvillea swaying palms and Gulf Coast waters. And I know David knows what I'm talking about here, since he's had some experience along the west coast of Florida. So we call this, use the words piercing the veil of illusion, but this is kind of an archetypal pattern. In Hinduism, the Hindus created this word Maya, and it is the phenomenal world of objects and separate objects and people, which creates for some the illusion that it is the only reality. Our words separate, divide, and categorize. That's what they do. In Christianity or Judaism, the Old Testament from Genesis, you can think of the time when Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge and got thrown out of the Garden of Eden. That's when they created words. We humans created words. So you too can create words to describe your own experiences. And as you choose to, or if you choose to, you can change your words to reshape what you feel, what you see, what you want to do with your one precious life. Who are you? Your words can shape that for you. So now I'm going to ask everybody to play the game here, really become active or interactive in this, because we will all learn much more if everyone is willing to share what they see in these images. I'm going to start with one that probably many of you have seen before. How many people have seen this before? Okay, David, and I'm still not going to get your name right. Sorry, I'm trying.
Is it easier for you to say Sarah just in the meantime?
It actually is easy.
Okay, and Sarah it is.
I know. Okay, Sarah. So, so two of you have seen this before, so you've probably seen both versions of this, but three of you have not seen it before. I'm going to ask everybody to unmute, if you would. And then I think particularly the people who have not seen this optical illusion before. What do you see here?
I've seen this before, but I'm having difficulty because the photos of the participants cuts off a big part of the image.
I know.
Oh, Kesitua, you can do view and then you can do side by
Does that change it
side
for you or
speaker.
not? Or you can move the group.
Yeah, go to change your view and go to gallery, side by side gallery.
Or you can just put your cursor and hold, at least this is the way it works.
That works.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. All right. So what does
I'll
that?
open the floor and say, I see the woman, or should I say the women?
Ah, interesting, David. Thank you. Does anybody see a woman or women besides David?
Yeah, I can see two women.
Okay, what two women do you see, Sarah?
There's like a young woman looking back, and you can see just this part of her face and maybe a hat and feather. And if you change your perspective, you see like an elderly woman looking down, a big nose and something on her, like a scarf.
Right. Does anybody else see anything different here? Or is there someone here who still does not see either a woman or women, different women, in this single image? Notice nothing in the image changes, but what people can see changes.
I just have a question. I can see both, but it's interesting that what I see first is the young woman. And I've seen this so many times. And I really had to remind myself that I know there's another woman here to see that again, So I'm wondering whether that has any meaning.
Well, I don't think we see both images simultaneously. At least for me, it's more switching back and forth. And if you go back and look at our logo, it's going out on different rainbow lines from that center point. You can't go on in two different directions at the same time. And I'll go back to the logo toward the end. I'm not going to go back to it right now. Okay, let me see. I am, I'm having trouble with your name. I am Kasitu, the Cree guy.
Yeah, I'm afraid it doesn't sound the way it's spelled. It's Kasitawa.
Kasitawa. I'm probably going to have problems with that. Can you see both images or not? And if you can't, maybe somebody can give you some information where suddenly you would see another image.
No, I see it. I can see both of them. I have a pretty solid education in psychology, and
Oh,
these are
God.
common paradoxes or um, images. There's just a lot of them. The candlestick one, and so I don't have any trouble shifting back and forth.
Okay, and that's part of what this workshop is about, choosing the perspective that is going to enrich your life, support your life, and also using it to support others and support a community. If you choose to do that, and if you don't, that's fine. Okay, so everybody can see both women here. We don't need to elaborate more. Let's move on. And this is what I've already put up on some of my Facebook pages. This is by a friend of mine, John Langdon. He does a lot of these things. So several of you have probably already seen this one as well. So what do you, is there, well, what do you see here? I'll just ask you that question. I see David smiling.
Yeah, this one is fascinating. First time I saw it was, like you said, on social media, and at first I had to look at it a couple of times before it came through. But yeah, very, very well done.
What did you see first? Again, yeah, this is by John Langdon.
The first image I saw was optical, and then secondly was the illusion.
That does not surprise me because, well, first of all, you're in a male body, and I think men tend to think more with, sorry, men tend to think more with their left brain, which means they're going to be looking for the words or the clear cuts expressions. Whereas a lot of women are more likely to see the word illusion because they're looking at the background. They're looking at, oh heck, did something just pop up on your screen? I hope it didn't. It popped up on mine. To me, that's interesting. So the other participants here, what do you see, or what did you see first? Let me ask you that. Especially
the first time I saw this, I saw illusion very clearly, and actually, like, I had to see it a couple of times before I realized there was another word. Because you were saying, oh, what do you see? And well, I see illusion. What's there to see? And then, but does she want me to look at something else? And then I noticed that the dots were a bit weird. Why are those dots in the middle? And oh, there's another word. So I saw the opposite of David. Illusion came first for me.
Right, Heather? Thank you.
Well, I see the illusion, but I don't see the other yet.
Okay. You see, and this is just what I was observing, was that women are more likely to see the word illusion, and men, I think, are more likely to see the word optical. Not always. How about you? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to hear your name or write it down or something a few times. I am the psychologist. Yeah, the psychologist there. What do you say? Both versions?
I can't see Kesitua's video any longer.
I'm sorry, Meenakshi, what was that?
I can't even see Kesitua any longer. Can you see his video, Sarai?
I can see him, but he seems frozen, or
yeah, I think it's frozen. Yeah.
The systems are letting us down again.
Well, till he comes back, just like what Sarai said, and actually also in a way White Feather, I could see illusion immediately. And I also didn't realize optical till I really kept looking, So this is interesting, David, that you saw optical first. Very interesting to me.
And I'm a right brain person, so that surprised me.
I think you're a pretty good balance, David. That's
Yeah.
my personal impression of you, both right brain and left brain. Let's move on from this one, since we can't seem to bring in our psychologist there. And again, same question. What do you see here?
Well, I see a face, eyes, nose, lips, but I see nothing else.
To me, it seems like a man. I don't know why the words come to my mind, young man, looking down and looking a little sad. It's like the lips are, curved downward. I'm not yet seeing anything else.
I see the same thing.
Okay, David, do you see something different?
At first, I had difficulty looking at it until I changed my perspective a little bit, and it's a word written on a slant, and it's liar, I think.
And I have had people look at this and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me, David," but say to me, "Isn't it interesting that a man's face is a liar?" It's usually a woman who, I think it was a woman who said that. Sorry. But yeah, just all these different perspectives that come out here. Can everybody see the word liar there now? This is, the L is up at the top, like the glasses or the eyes, and then the I with the dot over it is the nose. The A is the mouth. And then I wasn't quite able to get the R on completely. But can you see that?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Wait, Feather, can you see it or not?
Not really. I'm trying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
turn your head
it's
a
just the
bit.
first portion of the R is there.
Yeah. And I tried to get the whole thing on and the system wouldn't let me, or else I didn't know how to use it.
The throat is the R.
And I hadn't seen this one before, so this is new for me.
There will probably
a
be
while.
there will be a few new ones here for you, David, that you haven't seen before. Yeah, let's move on again, because this next one to me is particularly interesting. What do you see here?
Oh, I see it.
Yeah,
So you see
wow.
it. And suddenly it popped out for you, right?
Yeah, for me also.
But do you see more than one thing?
Miss Whitefeather, do you see it?
No. I see two
No, but
people
what do
standing
you
there,
see?
Milo.
Yeah, that's a good question. What do
I-
you see?
Well,
Like,
I sort of see like a bird or a duck or something. It looks like it's in water. And I know there's other things. I can see the starting of it, but I can't make it out yet.
See if you can identify a baby in what could be a sonogram type image or
Oh, yes, I do. Thank
all of
you.
a sudden, right? Because
Yeah.
Dave added some information, some words. He put some words out there, which suddenly shifted the way you thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing in the image changes. I've had people, really interesting things here that other people have noticed. I'm just trying to see if I can see them right now. And I can't.
I sort of see as if it's, how sometimes you see like a reflection above. So almost, I know you all can't see my pointer, but almost where the the trunk of the tree is like that. It's as if there's a little, an unclear reflection of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unformed, not fully formed.
Hmm. Okay, and I'm not seeing that. I've never heard anybody say that before. That's
Yeah.
really interesting to me.
Somehow I saw that very clearly. It's almost like it's the same, a big head, a little
Mhm.
body, and then the legs are elongated, but you can't see feet
Oh,
separately.
yes, I see it. Oh, I see the big baby. Yes. Yeah, and its arm, and it looks like there's a person hanging between its arm and its face. Interesting.
Somebody had made some comment like that to me before, and someone said, well, it almost looks as if the couple, who show, you can see a couple, a man
Mhm.
and a woman, under the tree. If you're looking at a scene rather than seeing the baby, you see a man and a woman
Right.
under the branches of the tree. And someone said, well, maybe they were thinking of bringing this baby to life.
Wow, that gives me goosebumps.
That's so special. Janet, what's special about this also is that you can see both at the same time. Like in the
Yeah.
first one you showed us, you could either see the old woman or the young. But in this, you can see the parents, I'm calling them parents, and the baby all together. Once you see.
Whoops, you just
Yeah.
went mute, Meenakshi.
Yeah, because I spoke what I had to say.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments they want to make about this one?
It was very interesting.
Mhm.
You can spend a lot of time looking at any one of these, and particularly if you're in a group of people, each of whom sees something differently and is expressing what they see in different words. If you were just listening to the words, you might think that they were looking at something different, but they're not. The image doesn't change. What changes is what your mind does
Mhm.
with your mind shapes
Mhm.
the experience of this. I mean, somebody can just see it as black and white stuff. But we've been so conditioned to think certain ways and then stick words on what we experience that each one of us shapes it differently. And as we look at it longer, sometimes all of a sudden something different will pop up. Oh, I never saw that before. Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
Okay, if you keep looking at this, you'll start seeing more and more things. Nobody has mentioned, for example, the trees in the background, or the fact that there might be water out there or rocks. Could be a lot of stuff in this picture, and look at all the different words, all
Mhm.
of which are coming out of a single image that does not change. So let's move on. We'll get into some more challenging ones, perhaps.
Wow.
So what do you see here?
Love and hate.
Mhm.
Love the duality.
Mhm.
Oh, we have, and I still don't have your name. The psychologist, I still don't have. That wasn't David. No, it wasn't David.
It's Kisitwa. It's exactly the way it's written.
Mhm.
Well, it doesn't look to me as if it's written that way, but that's okay. Yeah, okay. So which do you see first?
I saw both of them, love
Oh,
and hate, at the same time.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Me
Wait.
too.
White Feather, do you see both of
Yes,
them?
I saw both, love and hate together.
On this one, let me ask you another question. If you just see the word hate, how do you feel?
Angry.
Like, well, why would they put hate there? negative.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, when you add to it the red tumultuous background to the word hate,
Mm,
it's disturbing. Yeah, it's just
mm.
just to look at it gives you a disturbing feeling. Gives me anyway.
It's interesting that I was speaking with my sister today, and I disagreed with something she said. I just gave her another point of view, perspective. And she said, I think you love and hate me. And I
Mhm.
said, I don't think about hate. I mean, I don't think I hate people, and certainly not my sister. But it's interesting to me because now the words come here.
Mm.
And somehow
That's a
hate is an
synchronicity.
illusion. To me, hate is an illusion. And this image is showing that. It's showing that even if we think we hate, love is actually the essence.
Mhm.
That's how I look at this image.
Let me ask you another question. Can you hate injustice and love justice simultaneously?
Yes. I think I could.
Yeah, I think so.
So when you add a focus to what you love or hate, it gives it a different context.
Mm-hmm.
So you're adding more depth. You're adding more depth, more clarity to your words, and you're adding more depth to what is possible. Because hating injustice and loving justice, are they different or are they the same?
It reminds me of something I was told when I first got into adult ed. The university hired what they called a super instructor to be a mentor to me because I hadn't done any adult ed work. And he asked me what I knew about groups, and I started outlining behaviors that facilitated the group and were good, and behaviors that interfered with the group functioning. And I was expressing it in terms of good and bad behaviors. And he said, no, there's no good or bad behaviors. It's just that every behavior has a predictable result. And sometimes you're going to want to have the result, and you'll use what you're now calling a bad behavior to derail a decision you think is going in the wrong direction. And so the reality is both can be expressions of love. You can
Mm-hmm.
use all of those words any way you choose. I often think of the Inquisition, where they loved you so much they were going to save your soul at the expense of your body, and they would torture you to that end. And I saw that played out in residential schools, where in the name of love, and they believed it. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
people weren't lying, even to themselves, I don't think. But how they interpreted what that word meant in their terms of their behavior were very different kinds of things. It's like when a parent says, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Yeah, really.
That sounds like one of these power over dynamics, power over power under dynamics, which from my perspective usually are destructive. Not always, sometimes there's a learning there, but it depends on how abusive the power over is, whether it's abusive or whether it's supportive or mind opening maybe.
Mm. It justifies. I think it justifies some people's thought system to think it's okay to think it in that way.
Yeah, I've had some interesting experiences too, where with the best of intentions, my intentions have been pure to offer what, from my perspective, is a gift to someone else, but they don't receive it in the same way or with the same understanding with which I offer it. This has happened a lot of times to me in my own life. And this gets into a lot of complexities that we probably don't have time for here. But one example, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the heart-to-heart hug, which is a left side to left side hug. And if you allow yourself to relax into it, you can actually feel an energetic exchange between two hearts. I offered this to one of my daughters-in-law, and she wouldn't talk to me for years afterwards. And I couldn't figure out, what had I done wrong? Here, from my perspective, I'm offering her a gift. And I finally figured out she doesn't like to be told what to do. She thought I was telling her what to do, which was not my intention at all. It gets really interesting when you get into this in depth and you start exploring. Oh, welcome again and glad to see you. I am Kitsui. Did I get it right yet? God help me.
The weather was knocking me offline. We have thunder and lightning here.
Where are you located?
The western North Carolina mountains.
Oh, really? We'll have to talk more sometime. Near Asheville?
Yeah, near Asheville.
I own a little cottage in Flat Rock, just so you know.
Well, I'm in Hendersonville, so you know
Well,
where it is.
yeah, I'm very familiar with Hendersonville. These are the kinds of synchronicities that happen when you start sharing openly and transparently, just from your own perspective. Your perspective is yours. Nobody can ever destroy that. But your perspective can shift and grow as you interact with other people. Anybody have anything else they want to say about this one, or shall we move on?
Lots to say, so I think we should move on because
Yeah, I mean, you can go very deep with any of these.
yeah, especially this one.
Well, wait, I've got some more coming. They keep getting a little bit more intense and interesting, at least from my perspective. All right, so let's move on to the next one. And this is done. I'm right now, my legal home is in Sarasota, Florida, and that's where I am right now. Can you find the hidden tiger? I bet David or I am Kitsui, or the psychologist. They're going to see it first, I'll bet you. Well, we'll see. I could be wrong.
I don't know what we're looking for.
Find the hidden tiger. It's a I'm using words in a different way here because before I was asking questions, I was asking you, what do you see? Now I'm giving you an instruction. So this is a little different use of language. Find the hidden tiger. And
before I see the hidden tiger, I'm seeing two antelopes at the foot, two of the legs of this tiger that is easy to see. They look almost like tiny little antelopes, the back legs. But now I'm looking for the hidden tiger.
I see a black wolf.
What do the words find the hidden? We're into semantics here, the meanings of words. What do the words find the hidden tiger mean to you? What are you looking for when you hear those words or see them?
Danger, maybe. Something more than the beautiful animal that you can see real clear.
And somebody said they saw, I think, a wolf hiding in the underbrush, which, yeah, I mean, when I'm looking there, I can see it looks as if it could be eyes over on the right side.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I see David smiling. I think he's seen the hidden tiger. Have you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to hold off.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Yeah, for now. We'll let you come up with it, with where it is. Believe me, once you see it, you'll know you've seen it.
Yeah, you can't unsee these things once you do see them.
Yeah.
I found it too. I found the hidden tiger too. So
You absolutely certain you found the hidden tiger? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
As to the meaning that you asked, Janet, what the words mean to me, it's so interesting. It seems like find the hidden strength that is within you. To me, tiger
Well,
seems
that's
like
interesting.
strength.
See, you're not even looking at the image. You're just staring
No,
at
I am, but because you had asked what do the words mean, so I just thought I'd share that. I am looking at the image also.
Okay. I misunderstood you. I'm glad you clarified that. So two people they're quite sure, quite certain they have seen the hidden tiger. Mr. Psychologist, have you seen it yet?
No, but then I need new glasses.
So, okay, maybe that's a reminder to go see your optometrist.
Well, no, I have a problem in one eye and they won't give me a new prescription until they get the left eye straightened up, and then they'll give me a new prescription. So I'm using 2-year-old glasses, and the bifocals are not working well. They don't match up. So
Okay.
but I got my driver's license, which may have indicated how poorly I'm tested at the DMV.
I'm sorry. To me, that's funny, but probably true.
I went in, I turned 86 Sunday, so I wasn't at all sure I was going to get another extension on my license. So I did.
Yeah, I've got that coming up this year. And I've got you beat by a year and a half. Anybody else? You still looking for the hidden tiger? Somebody they thought a wolf over to the right. Or is that the eyes of a tiger? Who knows?
Mm.
White Feather, you still don't see the hidden tiger, right? Or you?
Well,
No.
I see a little image that looks like it could be a tiger, but it's real small. And it may not be as obvious. So I'm not sure.
David, I'm going to let you come in a minute, but I'm going to ask a question first, which maybe will shift some people's thoughts about what it means to find the hidden tiger. What if you're not looking for a shape? What if you're not looking for something hidden in the underbrush? What if that phrase means, what if you're looking for words?
Mm.
Well, give him a minute more, David.
Yeah, because we always think it'll be more
This is a very,
complicated than
very
it
good one.
is.
What was that?
This is a very, very good one.
I love this one. I started to tell you, and I didn't finish my thought, that this R. Rusty Russ actually also lives in Sarasota, Florida. But yeah, I think he's done a really fascinating job here.
And just as a hint, hidden is easier to see than tiger.
Okay, you got that, Meenakshi. Okay, David, I'm gonna ask you
I
to
got
come in and
Okay.
give
find
some
it?
more,
Yeah.
put some more
Yeah.
words out there to give guidance to people who don't yet see the hidden tiger.
The body,
The stripes.
the body of influence is right in front of you.
Okay. It's in the body of the tiger.
Well, that's
Look at the stripes itself, at themselves.
Yeah.
What helped me was the hidden.
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's the easiest one to see. And once you see this, you are never not going to be able to see it.
Right. Yeah,
Actually,
I have spent time, I first saw the eyes, as did White Feather,
mhm.
believing that perhaps that is the hidden animal there. Then I looked at the big tree on the left portion of the tree, seeing that perhaps that might be it, with his legs that are darker, towards close to the body, and his head way up in the top of the tree. But then said, no, that's not definitive enough. And after just a few minutes, then I noticed that the HIDDE turned it all on for me. And there it was, there it is.
Yeah.
For
You'll
me,
always be, every single one of you will always be able to see this again.
Mhm.
Right?
for me, Meenakshi helped me because she was talking about the stripes on the paws looking like an antelope, and I'm like, what is an antelope? Because English is a second language, so what is an antelope? I do not understand the animal. Should I Google it? And then, well, maybe it's something on the stripes, and then I saw it. So it's a case of out of the box thinking.
Well,
Mhm.
yes, and it's also a process because you know you're focusing on one thing and then you're shifting your focus, or you're shifting the way you're seeing this image and the way you're understanding the words that are there. I mean, I could have put in here, find the hidden tiger, look at the tiger stripes, which would have been a lot clearer, but I was deliberately a little bit unclear because I wanted to have you really go in and look for yourselves. Nothing in the image is changing.
Mhm.
All that's changing is your understanding of what those words mean and where to look and where
I
you
have a hidden dog.
What about a hidden dog?
I have a hidden dog. See?
Oh, you have
Ah, I can see it.
your
Now we
dog
see
is
it.
not hidden.
He fades out. He's trembling because of the thunder. That's
Oh,
No.
so he's sitting as close as he can get with his thunder shirt on. Oh, he hasn't got it on.
Okay, let's move on. Wait, Feather, do you see the hidden tiger?
Yes. And I
Okay.
saw part of the letters, but then I wasn't spelling it right. I would have seen it. I would have seen it faster if I corrected my spelling.
Ah, here's something to take a look at. Because the spelling of words changes the meaning.
mm,
Mhm.
You're really getting into grammar here or linguistics, but we're focused now on semantics, which is the meanings of words that we speak, the meanings of the words that we create to shape what we perceive. Anybody else want to comment any more about this, or shall we move on?
Actually, I want to say one thing that, what you just said, meaning of words. I always find that it's so easy to just use a word like hidden is such a common word, it's not a difficult word. But if I keep looking at the word, it seems so strange. I don't know if anyone's had an experience of that.
mhm.
If I keep looking at any particular word, it looks like it's almost as if the word itself, the word I'm looking at is an illusion. It doesn't the meaning starts dissolving.
Yes.
That's a really interesting
That is interesting.
Mhm.
Meenakshi. Yeah, because what is it that really underlies that word? What does that word point to? In Buddhism, you have an understanding or phrase, words are fingers pointing at the moon. it's not the same as being out in Boulder, Colorado, and watching a gorgeous full moon rise over the horizon. Their fingers pointing at the moon. So yeah, David's used words in a way that became fingers pointing toward where to find the hidden tiger, which is a really good guideline. So words are good tools, but they're not truth, or they're not, I don't even know how to say that. They're placeholders for something you can experience, but maybe you can't really completely use a word to land an underlying meaning. Believe me, science tries, and they do a pretty good job. They're useful tools. Without words, we wouldn't all be here together, right here, right now.
Mhm.
It's almost as if it's a matrix, and if you keep looking at it, it just dissolves because it wasn't real.
Mm.
That's why I can't keep looking at it.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
find that comment really interesting, because I think there is a lot of truth in that. Truth in a loose sense of the word, not with a capital T. Anybody else have anything else I want to say about this one?
Well, the opposite is kind of true too. I mean, think of the Rorschach test or ink blots. You know,
Mm.
that the person who created them gave no meaning whatsoever to them. They're just ink blots. But everybody when they're used in a test, everybody looks in them, sees something different, and what they do see tells the tester something about the person.
Right.
And there's a whole series of them, and I think the same thing is true, and I think that's part of the point you're making. It's the same thing is true with regular images, not ink blots. We assume they have a meaning, but that meaning is not going to be the same for it's. In fact, I think it'll be different for each and every person who views it, and it does,
Exactly.
and it can be
Mhm.
any image.
Yes, I agree 100% with that. And that's why when we do choose to put our words out into the world, we want to do it with as much specificity and clarity as we are able to do, so that we are actually communicating clearly with other people. Nothing but our own perspective. But our perspective is our perspective, and we're entitled to it. Now, it can change, it can open up, as you can see is happening here as we look at these optical illusions. It can expand, and you have more choices then.
I have a friend who often, when we're in serious conversations, identifies when we're in what he calls the place of no words. We take experiences and then we try to explain them. And there are a lot of experiences that are inexplicable. I love the Cree way of speaking of the creator, because they often say the great mystery. And it just so simplifies everything when you say, yep, I don't know anything at all. It's a mystery. And that willingness to be ignorant and not know, and not start defining whatever illusion or reality you think you're existing in, is the truth, is an important step, I think, in our growth as human beings.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now you're triggering some other thoughts in my mind, because I think your words for me are kind of pointing to, for example, Ram Dass's Be Here Now, T.S. Eliot's The Still Point in the Turning World, Rumi's the field. These are all different words that, from my perspective, point to the same, I'm going to use the word consciousness. But the words are just fingers pointing toward, I don't even know what words to use for it. The experience is ineffable. But people have created words to point toward it. You know, like God, Allah, Brahman, power greater than myself, Gaia, you know, they're pile of words that people have created, or spirit for this experience, this underlying, it's a mind shifting, it's more than a mind shifting experience that is possible. And I think just about every single one of you has gone through this to some extent as we've been going through these optical illusions. At least that's the way I'm perceiving. You suddenly are seeing things differently, or maybe looking a little differently at what you're experiencing. Gives you a lot of power if you want to use it consciously and intentionally to decide or choose who you are, what you're going to do with your one precious life. What are you going to do with your one precious life? Your words can shape that. They can shape your relationships. They can shape a lot of stuff. I use the first book I wrote was called Shift, Change Your Words, Change Your World. And I have Rorschach blots in that. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention here, which is what, I'm sorry. I am going to see, I'm going to call you a psychologist because it's easier for me. And I hope you forgive me. The Johari diagram. Is anybody familiar with the Johari diagram?
Johari.
There you have it. Yeah.
Johari window. How we
Yeah,
perceive ourselves and how others perceive us.
Yeah, I love that Johari window.
And the great unknown.
Well, exactly. One of those quadrants is what nobody knows. And I'm also thinking here of the Tao and the I Ching, you know. The Tao is the old man, or I'm sorry, Lao. How do you pronounce his name? Lao. I always pronounce it Lao Tzu, but I think it's wrong because I was listening to Alan.
Lao Tzu, yeah.
Yeah. The words that can be spoken are not the eternal words, or the truth that can be, or I forget. They're not the eternal truth, and I'm misquoting that.
Yeah.
But it's, again, it's kind of knowing that you don't know. But if you don't know, nobody else does, even though they pretend to.
Mm.
So what are you going to do with your own precious life? You get to choose. Shall we move on?
Mhm.
I'll warn you,
Yeah.
this one could be disturbing, okay?
Well, let's do it.
So I'll give you a heads up on that. Oh, and please work. Thank you. What do you see here? Interesting title and words taken from the Bible.
Mm.
I see mainly a skull, and then when you unfocus, maybe a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror. She's like sitting on a dresser and looking at herself.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it is interesting. And of course, it's called all is vanity, and then there's the connection again to words from the Bible. So you've got all different ways. Nothing in the image is changing, but look what your mind is doing with this single image out there. And my guess, now let me ask you this question again. So if you see the skull, what do you feel? Or what do you think? What words go through your mind?
Death.
Death, right?
For some reason, timelessness. Like, skulls remain for centuries after, long after we're dead. So
What does everybody else see here?
It's interesting. Of course, I saw the skull first also, but it's interesting that when I saw the women, I thought of them as two women having tea together.
That's interesting.
I didn't see them as a reflection, as you pointed out. So right.
Yeah, for me, it's the mirror just reflecting back to us who we are somehow, or who we are in this moment, in this present moment.
I don't know whether it's because my eyes don't see detail as well as I normally do, but I see a worm coming out of the mouth of the skull, and it reminded me of the saying, the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out.
Sorry, yeah, that's funny. To me, it looks like a cigarette.
Yes, me too.
But with
It's
something dripping off the end, kind of.
I'm also seeing that this is also another image in which you can see both at the same time. So I see the woman's hands; they're going into the mouths. So the arms, they're going like under the teeth. So that's sort of.
And that really confuses, I think. Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're somehow integrating the two separate images by describing the woman's hand going into the mouth. And that's an interesting comment, actually, Meenakshi. And
I don't know how I feel about it. It's sort of weird, but I'm not having a feeling that I can access. I don't know what I feel.
Well, maybe it's because probably if you see the skull, for some people at least, there would be a sort of a retraction or death coming up or something like that. Whereas if you see the beautiful woman, probably depends on whether you're a man or a woman, whether you see her as competition or whether you see her as a sex object or whether you see her as a beautiful dance partner or whatever. But it's all tied in with this statement too, all is vanity. And this was done many, many years ago, I think. C. Allen Gilbert is deceased, I'm pretty sure he is. But, for me, look at all the potential connections here, or integrations, or maybe alignments or similarities, or I don't even know what word to use.
I suddenly saw another image, Janet.
What did you say? What did you say?
The woman who's sort of backing us. Suddenly I just saw the black, the hair, and it looks like an ape, but an ugly, very dangerous looking ape.
Really?
As if it's coming out of the skull.
Really? I can't even.
Yeah, I suddenly saw it very clearly. And then I had to refocus and say, oh my gosh, it's the hair of the woman.
And look how your feelings probably change depending on how you're framing. This picture is not changing. The black and white lines don't change. But look what your mind is doing with it.
And I have to say one thing, because I wanted to ask you actually, why did you Did you name it all is vanity, or did the, oh, okay.
No, the C. Allen Gilbert gave it that name, but that is a phrase from Ecclesiastes.
So because it's written all is vanity, I think I focused first on the dangling, it looks like an earring, and I'm wearing dangling earrings. And I said, okay, it is vanity. So actually, that was my very first thought when I saw this, because of what it's been named.
I think the name also influences a bit like what the image means to us, because if I think about vanity, then I see a woman looking at herself or admiring herself. But if I ignore the name and I go back to my timelessness meaning of the skull, then maybe it's a woman reflecting while looking at herself in the mirror. So I think that the artist giving it that name uh, pushed us towards one direction. It would be interesting to see.
And of course, there is a vanity that on which the woman is leaning, if you're looking at the image of the woman. So, I mean, there's so many interconnections in this single image. The image does not change. I don't know how many of you are used to watching your own mind, which is a Buddhist practice. It's big mind watching little mind, just taking time to observe the thoughts that go flying through your mind like crazy and keep changing all the time, depending on where you are and who you're with and what you see.
Mhm.
But it's a really valuable practice because the thoughts fly through, but you don't have to act on them unless you choose to. Some of them are really useful thoughts and supportive thoughts. And some of them are going to get you into a heap of trouble, as David knows, since he's read my second book.
Can I add one more thing which is coming from our discussion? What I know is that the person who writes or is an artist and even a writer, we may write something with from our own understanding and consciousness at the moment. But the moment it's out there and it's in the public, everyone who's looking at it makes their own meanings. So it need not be the meaning that the artist or the writer intended.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just jump into judgment. I'll just say something else here. You can make a distinction between the word judgment and the word, what's the other word? Perception or discernment was the word I wanted. Judgment and discernment. You experience something and you can either point your finger out there, which is a projection, and you say, oh, that's what this other person is doing. That's what I am seeing, what they are doing. Discernment is inner work. That's noticing what's going on within you, which is your own thoughts, your own bodily responses, your own emotions. It's just observing them. That's all the inner work. If any of you have studied Ken Wilber at all, he has an AQUAL diagram. Let's see if I can pull up here real fast.
I comment on one of my personal experiences. I was 19 when I became an empath, and it was a confusing thing because I would be doing one thing, which I would be pleased with, and then I would literally experience the feeling of somebody else who was distant from me, outside visual range. And the first thing my mind wanted to do was say, what's causing this emotional storm that I'm sensing in this person? I feel the storm and I have no understanding of what's behind the storm. It's just this storm of emotions. And I would make up something because my mind wanted to understand the context. And it took me a while, considerable while, to learn that my mind just created a fantasy. My explanation or understanding of what was causing this storm of emotion, this particular set of emotions, was always wrong. It was just something my mind created to make me feel better, like I understood it. When in reality, I didn't understand it. I just experienced it.
But that experience matters. I mean, it is your experience.
Oh,
And
it does matter.
yeah,
Believe me. I mean, when it's somebody that I care about and love, and they're having problems, I want to fix it. You know, I'm a parochial male or a patriarchal
sorry,
male.
that's yes, I get it.
Okay, and when you're 500 miles away, and all you've got is the emotion, you have no idea what's behind it. And it's there. For me, initially, it was a really helpless kind of feeling because I couldn't do a damn thing about it. The other thing was learning to not uh, to just observe what was happening, because when all of this started, I was working on very precise, intense work for space, and it required complete focus to do my work. And I would be sitting there focusing on what my job was, which I had to do, um, and at the same time experiencing this enormous terror. And it took time to learn not to just go nuts and to be able to stay with what I was doing, because I couldn't, one, I didn't know what was causing the problem. And two, even if I did know, it was 500 miles away and I couldn't fix it. And it was a learning process on how to cope with addressing other people's feelings, not the least of which is, whose feelings are you experiencing? Yours, somebody else's? Uh,
Yeah,
but the learning process turned out to be very useful because I did a lot of counseling in my professional life, and it really helps to be able to know what's another person is literally going through emotionally, in spite of what they might be saying to you. Um, uh, but it was a hard road to take. It was a hard road to learn because I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have anybody I didn't have a book to read to help explain what was going on. I was left essentially to my own devices, and it took a while to sort out, and it wasn't always simple.
I'm not sure we ever fully sort it out because there's always new stuff that comes flying in that upsets our carefully laid plans. But and yes, while we're on this image, let me just add here, none of us knows how much time we've been given. And I'm going to go back to, what are you going to do with your one precious life with whatever time you have? And I did find this Ken Wilber's all quadrants, all level diagram, which I'll just show briefly here. If you want to, I hope you can see this a little bit. This is just quickly, one side, the top is individual, the bottom is group, the top left, or the left side is subjective, the right side is objective, weaves them all together. If you want to learn more, go Google Ken Wilber, or go Google AQAL. Thinking, what else can you look for? Well, I mean, I've got that diagram, and I've got the Johari diagram here in my new Amazon best-selling book, which David I know has read and kindly wrote me a review for. We're getting toward the end of our time. So, I mean, and thank you for all those comments, Mr. Psychologist, because I agree with a lot of them. It's kind of, we go through this, it feels like it's either physical or emotional chaos or trauma sometimes. And we don't understand what we've done, whether we have caused this. You know, what did I do to get treated like this? So it's trying to make sense out of the pain and the rage and all the emotional chaos going on. And a lot of it, I think, is certainly getting some insights into it, but also some maybe mastering it and using that emotional power, but using it in a conscious and intentional way. You were saying something more earlier about passion and or the emotional stuff that comes up for all of us, but I think that can transform into it's kind of a huge strong flow of emotion, but it's also, you can think of it as passion, and you can think of transforming that into calm passion. Calm means with passion, where so compassion, because you've lived it yourself, you understand what other people are going through. Anybody else have anything they want to say on this one, or shall we move on? And I'll warn you, this next one too, I had one woman look at this, and I think I was doing a workshop, and she practically walked out of the room. She couldn't stand to look at this. This is just one person, but I think it's kind of interesting. Again, if you're just looking for, well, what can you focus on here? What is it you see? So I'm going to move on. We're getting close to the end of the time too. Now, this is MC Escher, his circle limit 4. And this is in my first book too, but which is Shift, Change Your Words, Change Your World. But what do you see here? To me, this was another really interesting image, and it should be circular, but again, the systems wouldn't allow me to make a full circle of it. Nobody sees anything, right?
Oh, I see something.
All right. Tell me one thing you see, David.
Well, I see at least one thing, and one thing is angelic.
Oh, interesting. Most people don't see that first. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Anybody else see it interesting?
Yeah, I see angels and a being looking like a Batman.
I would call those dark angels.
Dark. Oh, that's an interesting term. That sounds like
Well, it's better than saying Satanism.
Well, I see butterflies upside down.
Interesting. Okay. Anybody else see anything different here?
I just saw bats as well. So
Yeah, to me they kind of
I'm with bats. That
But if
was
you
my
look at
first
it a different
reaction.
way, it doesn't look as much like a bat, but something else to me.
What does it look
Interesting.
like? What does it look like?
Butterfly.
Butterfly. Okay.
Yeah. A
Look,
bat and a butterfly.
now just notice, the image is not changing, but look at all the different words that are coming out here and where people are focusing. Are they focusing on the white images or the black images? Where are you focusing, and where do you choose to focus? Because you can focus your mind wherever you want to focus it. And which image is more supportive for you?
If I focus really hard, I can see the white image, the angels that David was talking about, but I have to really concentrate. The bats are just everywhere, so
But you can do it. You can choose
yes.
to do it. Which feels more supportive to you?
More supportive the angels, but the bats are overwhelming, so maybe there's something I need to unpack there.
Okay, you can go look
Well,
at.
that's if you think bats are negative.
Right. They've got a
Oh, there are bats here in
bad
my
name.
house, and I don't like them, so
Uh, I don't know why, but though I'm calling her an angel, it looked to me more like a young girl who was maybe like dressed up, you know?
More words, different words, same image.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether any of you ever, as a kid, ever played the game Whisper Down the Lane, but I'm thinking that's what we do all the time. We think we're real clear and we think we're communicating well, and we're not communicating anything to other people, which is why it's challenging to build a community
Yeah.
where you're actually dancing together or playing
Right.
and supporting one another instead of killing one another with AR-15s.
Mm-hmm.
We are communicating something. Among other things, I was introduced to studying the original hotline between Moscow and Washington D.C. And when they first set it up, it was a teletype. It wasn't a telephone. And they had a very rigorous set where we would send something in English and it was defined ahead of time. And then they would send back their Russian translation of that. And then they would send us the Russian, and it drove the operators nuts. And the turnover rate was crazy because people couldn't sit there hour after hour, day after day, sending these blocks of nonsense or scientific journals or procedures or policies or very boring stuff back and forth between Russia and the United States. And they brought in a psychologist, and the psychologist said what I just said. They're bored stiff. Why don't you just let them send their own stuff? It doesn't matter as long as it's checked as are they receiving what I'm sending? Are they understanding what I'm doing? And so the people began to send jokes and poems and notes, and none of that had a face value. It was just what people wanted to send. Call it gossip. But it did convey a very important issue, and that was the communication system was open and working. It didn't matter what the content was. It didn't matter if it was confusing or anything. As long as the communication possibility existed, the channel was open, then it would be possible for the president to speak with the prime minister of Russia and vice versa in an emergency. And I later learned that same process was applied to town gossip. The people who gossip are also serve a really important function of communicating information through a community. And if you understand that, then they become like the town callers. If you can get them good information to share, then what they are doing is going from just keeping the communication channels open. They can go talk to anybody, they can chat with anybody, to their ability to pass on important information to people very quickly.
And
So
it's yeah.
I wouldn't underestimate the power of just having an open communication, regardless of whether it was nonsense or not in terms of content. Just having the open channel is important. When
I
we
agree.
stop talking to each other, we're in trouble.
And when we stop talking clearly to one another, we're also in trouble. Like Whisper Down the Lane, where it ends up different from the way it starts or with a different meaning. We're almost at the end. Can we go overtime or not, Meenakshi? Because if we can't, we better move on.
Move on.
I mean, I don't mind if some of us have time. It's just that I may have to be a little in and out. But please continue.
Okay, I just have a couple more slides, not too many, but I would like to kind of pull this together at the end, I hope. So this one, what do you see here? And this is interesting. This is another one by John Langdon. Interestingly enough, it's called Us. Do you see why?
I saw you and then I saw me.
Which is why it's called Us. Does everybody see both you and
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like the love-hate illusion.
Yeah,
Y8.
you see the you is in the blue in the middle,
Mhm.
and the me is the red letters,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Us, which is not the words you or me, but you and me are combined in the image.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the final slide I have, which this is called Earth. And notice these are all artistic creations. So they're not scientific models or anything like that. This is artwork. So this is called Earth by Giuseppe Arcim. I've got my screen of it. Arcimboldo, and I don't know a lot about him, but I think it's a fascinating image. So what do you see here? Single image.
A human being and lots of animals.
Yes,
Okay,
me
you got it.
too. That's what I see.
Yeah, okay. Which makes sense then to call it Earth, right? But you
Mhm.
could be focusing either on the entire face or head of a human being, probably a man, with a scarf around his neck and some kind of who knows what else. Or you could be focusing on a particular animal within the entire Earth. Or maybe if you see it as a man, you could be looking just at his nose or his eye. So are you looking at the microcosm or the macrocosm? And which do you choose to look at right now? Nothing's changing in this image.
I see it. We're all one united. You can't separate us.
And yeah, there's definitely an integration there. But look at all the different words or quote objects that we can also see. And each one of us sees it a little differently and focuses a little differently at a particular point in time. So I'm going to just move on here to the final slide, unless there's anything else that somebody wants to say here. But let's see, we've lost David. Probably had
He wrote a message saying that he had to leave.
Yeah, David's very accountable. So again, I'm back to the beginning. where we started, which is planetary peace, power, and prosperity. So if you think about the power of your own mind and the power of your own words, words have energy and impact. They have emotional impact, certainly on yourself, but also on other people. So are you going to choose them, or are they just going to spout out of your mouth in some way that somebody else has told you to speak? Or are you going to choose them with an intention about the impact that you want them to make? You may not always get it right, but you can at least think about it a little bit. And then planetary peace, power, and prosperity. I know this is my own personal opinion. So when I use that word "no," I'm using it as my own personal opinion, but I've lived a lot of years and have a lot of experience, that this is a semantic solution to all the human created suffering on the planet. You can either choose love or you can choose hate. You can either hate injustice or you can love justice, or you can be justice.
Mhm.
You can choose to be just and fair and high integrity and accountable. And this is in some respects the hero's journey or the heroine's journey. And there's a sense in which you end up right where you began, which is what I did here, but with a little different way of thinking about your life experience and who you are, or who you choose to be, or what you choose to do with your one precious life you've been given. And if you just think about this for a minute, if you want, you don't have to do this, but if you wanted to bring inner peace, personal empowerment, which is different from this power over power under a power against dynamic. It's a power with something that you can't really name, but you can experience. People have given it lots of names like God, Spirit, Allah, Brahman, the Tao. I can't think of more, but there are a lot of them out there. But if each person were to bring inner peace, personal empowerment, and a sense of prosperity, and I'm not just talking about money here, it's a sense of abundance or gratitude or having enough. If each person would bring this into their own one precious life, you don't have to do this for the whole time. Just do it for yourself. If everybody would do that, it would become planetary.
Mhm.
And all you have to do is shape your own mind, body, and spirit as you choose to do. But with support from other people, certainly with information from other people, you choose whether you want to look at it or not, or use it or not. So we're past our time, certainly. Anybody have anything else they want to add here? Because this is the end of my slideshow.
Well, I like the fact that it gives us a way of looking at things differently, and to open up ourselves to receiving what someone else is saying, and not shutting it down, but saying, oh, I'd like to look at it that way and see what's happening. And I feel for me in my world that that's what's happening more and more in the circle I am in, to listen and to see the goodness of what's happening in the world, and go from there.
Yeah, and that's certainly my intention by offering you this piercing the veil of word illusions, whatever you want to call it. It's just, open up your mind to more ways of thinking or seeing or even it being.
Mhm.
You know, are we just dancing a cosmic dance, all of us playing a cosmic game, but we're doing it, you know, in alignment or with a lot of awareness. Awareness is another good word I think I brought up before. That's from Buddhism. But just awareness in each and every present moment.
Mhm.
And it is.
I agree with that. For me, it's like it starts with what do you value at a personal level. And for me, I value my peace of mind. I value my serenity. And so one of the questions that comes up is, am I willing to surrender that for some drama? Okay.
Or do I want to create trauma?
Well, yeah, I don't
Mhm.
create much drama anymore. That was for my more youthful years. But it's a serious question that I ask myself, and I've asked it to over years. And the older I get, the less and less willing I am to surrender and give up my serenity for essentially nonsense. And I find that people find that attractive. We used to say, if you're calm in the midst of a hurricane, you're crazy, or some such. There was a saying about that. But I find that if I'm calm in the midst of what other people see as a problem, everybody starts to calm down. Doesn't mean the problem's solved yet, but at least the things that interfere with solving the problem seem to be reduced. The other thing that I push on myself a lot is eliminating dual thinking. Duality itself is, I find, destructive to happiness and serenity. It always seems to imply or require judgment. And every time I start judging, I start surrendering my peace of mind. Um, so those are two ways in which I try and keep myself on a relatively even keel and happy, contented. Uh, and that contentment is just worth more to me than, well, so far I've reached a point where I strongly resist giving that up for anything. It's not worth it to give it up. But that's where I sit.
Well, yeah, and by just sitting in that space of serenity, you attract other people to you. At least that's my perception of it. I'll also mention, I mean, this again is I have an appendix of useful maps in this new book. It just came out, Surrendering in a Soul, Heroine's Journey. And one of them, you were talking about non-dual, you used the term non-dual consciousness, I think, or something similar. It's I may not have used the exact same word you used. But yeah, that's another map that I have both in the back of this book. I don't know if you can see it here or not. But for me, it's a map of my own journey where I was originally conditioned into certain ways of thinking and being by parents, teachers, people I interacted with. And I was reared in a kind of a little bubble, it felt like, because my parents were both educators and they were wonderful parents. But I was still in a bubble. And it was when I started interacting with other people in the outside world that bubble kind of got burst, and I had to protect myself. It felt like But it was part of a journey into something, and I'm throwing out words here. It was a journey back into a center point, a spaceless, timeless center point of pure present moment awareness, from which I could create, co-create, or manifest outward into the world as I chose to do it. And it keeps changing all the time. So, I can't say this is who I am. I can say this is what I'm feeling right here, right now. This is what I'm thinking right here, right now. And I can choose whether to put it out into the world or not. I went on a trip to a spiritual trip to Peru a few years back, where one of our exercises was listen to the silence. That was powerful for me. Listen to the silence. I became so very aware of a tiny little plant surviving in coming out of the crevice of a rock. It shifts the way you think and the way you feel. So what do you want to bring into your own precious life? And yes, are you open to receiving? I think Sarah brought that up earlier. Are you open to receiving? And what is it you want to receive? And what is it you want to set up boundaries to protect your inner peace, personal empowerment, and sense of abundance or prosperity? Prosperity, it can be walking out on the beach at sunset and watching a gorgeous sunset as the sun goes down below the horizon. It can be picking up seashells. It can be taking a walk in the woods. That's part of prosperity. That's all free. And it's available to each and every one of us as we choose to bring it in or want to bring it in. Up to you. What is it you want to bring into your life? What do you want to receive? What do you want to create? And it's different for each one of us. Each one of us has a unique path and a unique gift to give to the planet. What is yours? Do you know?
That's beautiful.
I see Bernard, she's had to leave us. I don't know what she's doing here. And we have a name tree who's come in and been listening to us, at least. Name tree, do you want to show your face or add any words to any of this?
I'm just grateful to hear everyone speak. It's a great idea. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you for speaking.
Well, welcome, Teresa.
Sorry, Janet, it's just that I have to be in and out because it's the middle of my work day actually. So
believe me, I more than understand. I've got a few catastrophes to deal with too, systems that are blocking my ability to do what I want to do. So unless somebody else has something else they would like to add, I would suggest that we
we can close. Can you do me a favor and switch off and your sharing? I didn't want to do it while you were sharing, but I thought I could share your book.
Oh, all right.
Just for a little while on the recording, this is the book that
you in the chat, which I wasn't able to say. Yeah, Surrender the Soul is definitely about exploring my own inner space. And this is the cheapest place I've seen where you can get it so far. It's more expensive every place else I've looked. And it just came out. The paperback just came out last week.
And as you can see, I have dogs barking in the background, so I'm going to be on mute.
Okay, I want to save the chat before we leave because I haven't even seen what other. Okay, and I guess I don't have to click on a button here. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody so much for being here and contributing your own thoughts and your own perceptions and your own words, because it all matters. It's all really important. And it's not always easy to do. So anyway, Thank you. Namaste. We have played the cosmic game and danced the cosmic game together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hi, hi.
Thank you, Dr. Janet. Very happy to be here.
Thank you.